somebody took to social media to talk about a restaurant that's actually exploiting people, exploiting, the staff, right? So she says that she was mistreated. I will play a clip so you can have the whole detail about it. And EFF, right, took to social media to say that they're actually going to handle it after the videos actually went viral. And just now, all right, I just saw a video that there was actually some arrest made at the restaurant. Let's talk about it. Hello, welcome to Entertainment Scalo, and this is your girl Missy. Please do like this video and subscribe to the channel, guys.
Guys, the restaurant that I'm about to expose, I'm sure they've broken every right at the Labor Relations Act. Just opened, it's in Menlyn. I've been working there for a few days now. So what happened is I went for a job interview. I showed them my CV and my socials, and I was hired on the spot. And then they told me that I should buy a uniform for this job, right? So a cross belt, a white shirt, black shorts, black apron, black shoes. I was like, okay, you know what? It's fine. I'm going to buy those things because I'm just grateful that I got the job. It was a bit for me at first because I was like, I've worked at other places previously and I've never had to buy my own uniform. But I was like, hey, it's whatever. I went to work the next day and then there was just like, oh, guys, there were more things piling up. As waitresses, Zitibana, we have to buy our own equipment, right? I didn't know about that. So basically equipment is a bottle opener, a cigar cutter, ndona enye, e-cigarette lighter, cigar lighter. Yeah, boy, like you buy all of these things yourself out of your own pocket. Mind you, I had just spent 1,000 rand on just the uniform, excluding alterations, excluding the transport fees, and now I have to buy the equipment myself. But I was like, you know what, it's fine. This was 10 years into because I had all of these things within the second day that I was working there, only to find out that there is no contract. There is nothing that is legally binding between you and the restaurant. You just go there, you work. If you get fired, you get fired because there's no contract. So tin, how are you going to defend yourself? That was the second red flag for me, actually. And then they were like, we don't have a basic salary. As not basic salary, you make imali tips. This wasn't discussed with me prior. Diva ngoku you make imali tips. There's like a mandatory tip of 10% that they bill to the customer. But even that 10% tip, the restaurant takes about, I think it's 20%, 30%. I stand to be corrected. Something about breakage and leverage, I don't know. So glad 10%, they still take imali etil. And when you come into work, you have to pay what they call a runner fee, which is 200 rand. So basically, a runner is someone that assists the waitress. And then you also have to pay your runner at the end of the night. Wrong, or maybe I don't know how things work, but all of this seemed extreme to me, especially considering the fact that we don't have a basic salary. So fine, I worked there. My first day, it was not smooth sailing because it is my first day. Yes, I've worked at other places, but it's my first time working here. I'm still trying to learn how things work up. Guys, when I tell you what I went through at that restaurant, I have never gone through that in my entire life, even in my personal life. The way that they treat us, even the way that they talk to us, they make us feel less than, they belittle us. Asina break, you work from 1 p.m. up until 2 a.m. the next day. There's no break. You have to sneak maybe a Red Bull in the bathroom or outside in the corner, even if you're eating ipie yako. Like, a manager is going to walk in and scold you for that. It's so, guys, and I just felt like I had to speak up because there is no ways. I don't even know if the customers know that the employees are being treated this way. You know? But I was like, let me suck this up, yabo. Let me just try my best to make imali. But it's even hard to make kwalamali tips because you find that Most of the managers, they're friendly with some of the waitresses, so you could be standing there whole day and not even get tables because they're giving it afile kwiitshomi zabo wena awuzosebenza. For example, last week Sunday, I went home with a debt to the restaurant. I ended up having to owe the restaurant 20 rand because of leverage and breakage and whatnot. After working from 1 p.m. up until 2 a.m., I ended up owing them. Excuse me. For example, today, I've worked so hard, but just because andinikwa itafile mna, mhlambi customers will come, they'll say, no, itafile kabanban leyana, no, customer kabanban. You're like, okay, sharp, sure, I see how this is. Today I went home with 100 rand tips. I went home with 100 rand tips today after working from 1 p.m. up until 2 a.m. And I was like, you know what? But it's okay. It's okay. So before work started, we complained that the cutlery are short, things are slow in the kitchen. Then they were like, we are losing the cutlery, therefore everybody is getting fined 200 rand. How are we losing the cutlery? Who is taking it home? Who is losing it where? Like Siphelele Kula restaurant, they search our bags when you go home. So where is it being lost? So basically, we are buying a cutlery here restaurant because they find all of us 200 rand. That accountant or whatever she is, she gave me this 100 rand. Maybe find a tata. Then the manager came to me. She's like, Mihlali, we know you're not on the WhatsApp group, but we're finding everyone 200 rand.
They thank this young lady for coming and being brave enough to raise this particular issue, because it's not easy for workers to come on the platform and tell people exactly what is happening behind closed doors. And of course, as Capital does not forget, they will try and deal with her. In this case, they've already dismissed her, and we believe that as the EFF, we have a duty to protect her.
And as you're mentioning, it was pretty brave of her to speak out as well, because now she's facing the consequence of being unemployed. It couldn't have been easy. She must have been brave to speak out, and it couldn't have been easy for her to pull out of tonight's interview as well. What does that tell us about the environment in which people in the hospitality industry, our waiters and watrons, operate under? That they can't even voice their concerns without fear of being dismissed, or that they can't even come to a program like this because they may be intimidated.
Where I'm standing, you'll see behind me there's an immigration van. That van currently has some of the employees from the Babel restaurants that have been arrested, and we know that the employer as well has been asked to come here, and also he has been arrested. We understand at this point that about 68 South Africans are actually working for that restaurant, and out of those, about 2 people have been found to not have their documents. So those are people that are not from South Africa, and as a result, because of the fact that those people are currently working within the restaurant and don't have their documentation, then the owner now has to answer for that, and this is why he was arrested. I want to bring in immigration now to speak to us about that, and I think I've tried to explain it, that South Africans are there, but there are people that don't have their documentation. Explain to us why this has occurred.
Now, when we're doing our inspections, like what you have said, we did find that there were 2 in Babel that did not have the necessary documentations. Normally what we do, if people are working and they don't have the documentations to be working, they get arrested. We don't only arrest them alone, we also arrest the employer. What we have done now, we did find the 2 from Babel. They've been arrested. They don't have documentations to be in the country. And then we've also arrested the employer, so that the employer can also go and answer on the number of those people that are there, and also to explain why is he employing people with no documentations.
And of course, you went to 2 restaurants today. Take me through what immigration was looking for in all these restaurants.
In both the 2 restaurants, one is Ocean Basket, the other one is Babel. Immigration was trying to check as to the number of employees that are within that space, how many of those employees are South Africans and how many are foreigners, and those who are foreigners, what kind of documentations do they have? Because for a person to work in an establishment of that nature, they must be in possession of a work permit if they are not South Africans. That is why the 2 that we did find there, we effected the arrest.
And how often are these laws flouted?
It's often. We at times note some of these occurrences when we visit some of the restaurants, because the issue of visiting, checking compliance is what we are doing almost every day as Home Affairs with our Inspectorate Immigration Services. So in some areas you find that employers are incompliant, and in some areas you find that they are not incompliant. So in this case, out of the total number that were employed, most of them were South Africans. They had documentations, and then they also had foreigners that did not have documentations, hence the arrest.
And perhaps lastly from you, this obviously would be an investigation before you do a sting operation. Take us through what sort of basis have you based this sting operation on?
There are several bases. One, at times we get tip-offs from community members that provide us with the tip-offs that we then follow. But beside the tip-off, we also have our own scheduled operations that we normally do and target some of these establishments, because these are establishments that tends to employ some of the people. At times you find that the complaints that we get from South Africans is that there are people that are employed here, they don't have the necessary documentations. So those are some of the tip-offs and the normal operations that we have got within our schedules as Home Affairs.
All right. So what now?
From here, the employer is going to be charged, and then the employees are also going to be charged. With the employees, we are going to effect deportation. With the employer will have to be fined, subjected to a fine, and then we're going to take him through the court process.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us about that. Of course, Xoli, that's currently underway. As you can see behind me, there's that truck that has some of those employees. In fact, one of the employer was just saying that he doesn't give us a right to then shoot where he is. He was quite unhappy with what was taking place here. And of course, now I'm going to bring in the DG to just sort of quickly wrap up for us. DG, you've effectively made an arrest here, and you almost done with your sting operation. Are you happy with the results?
Well, we are. But let me also bring you some updates. So, in as far as the labor laws are concerned, we have made some findings. All right, there are two contraventions that we've picked up, one by Babel and another one by Ocean Basket. So there's an issue of gas installations, and there's an issue of structural, sort of integrity. So we're obviously going to have to prohibit the operations, both establishments. The one downstairs, as I indicated, is a gas installation issue, and the one upstairs is a structural issue in terms of the engineering issues around that.
When you say you have to prohibit both areas, what does that mean? Unpack it for us.
It means that the operations will be restricted from going ahead. It means that we may have to close the operations up until there's compliance with those laws. So at the end of the day, it means that the operation that we came here for is successful, because we did pick up the issues that we were concerned about. And they are not different to some of the big issues that we've been picking up within this particular, sector, as it were. So we're hoping some of these particular aspects will drive the message home to some of these employers to attend and take these particular laws very seriously.
And when you talk about how important it is to take this seriously, of course we're seeing this arrest that's being effected. But when you talk about the operation and the structure issues, does then that mean that the people that are inside there could potentially have no employment?
Well, so even maybe more serious than that. It means that the people that are working there are exposed to a dangerous operation. So which means that their health and safety is at risk. So which is why we have to make sure that there is compliance so that employees are protected. So it is important at the end of the day that whatever happens, right, there's compliance with the law. Unfortunately, the negative consequence of that is that the operation can't continue operating up until there's compliance.
And we were just hearing from one of the legal representatives from the restaurant that it's fairly new. One would think that before the restaurant then opens, these are sort of things that would have to be ticked off.
I think that's fair, all right. So all that I can say to us is that there are capacity issues, right? Obviously, we are addressing these capacity issues, right? We would hope to be everywhere, but we can't be everywhere. The key issue here is that where we do pick up these issues, we have to make sure that there's compliance. And as I indicated, that we are building that capacity, and we will overcome. We will overcome.
Thank you very much for speaking to us, Oli. Capacity issues within the departments have also led to some of these issues that we are seeing on the ground. But more than that, people have been arrested, and potentially a restaurant could be closed based on the fact that they have not complied. That's what's happening here in Pretoria.